Hi, my name's Billy, I read books, and this is what I've read and what I've been doing in the month of August of 2025. So, I'm going to talk about what I've been up to this month, and there is a fair bit. I will keep it as brief as I can, but if you're not interested in listening to that and you just want to hear about the books I've read, go to this time, fast forward to this time, that point in the video, and that's where I will be talking about the books. So, just briefly on the books, I haven't read a massive amount this month, and I'm going to touch on briefly the reasons why. Very, very briefly, we've had some bad news in relation to friends and family in terms of health, which I'm not going to go into, obviously, but when something like that happens, it takes the wind out your sails, it's punching the stomach, kicking the knackers, however you want to phrase it. It just makes you put things into perspective, doesn't it? And ultimately, reading and doing YouTube videos just pales into insignificance, doesn't it? So that's one of the reasons why I've not really read much this month, and why there's been very few uploads as well. Another reason why I've not read a massive amount is, the other month I showed you these book things that I make every now and again. Well, I've made another one because a friend of mine, a colleague who I've worked with for a good number of years, is leaving. So they've got an interest in a certain thing, Alice in Wonderland. So I made this. You can see that's Alice in a mirror. Quite good, but as you can imagine, it takes a lot of time. But also, I'm not actually too happy with this. There is another way of doing it, more detailed, bulks it out more, which you need to do. So I need to make another one, which is going to affect this month's reading. But anyway, that's that. We went to Wales. We've had a week in Wales, near Cardigan Bay. I will put a map up on here to show you where Cardigan Bay is in Wales. And we went to a bit of sightseeing around there, Newquay. There's a Newquay in Cornwall, but there's also a Newquay in Wales. So we went there. Went to a place called Tenby, which is at South Wales. I don't really have any pictures of that. That was nice enough. We went to St David's and went to see the cathedral there. Obviously spent time in Cardigan itself, which is a lovely little place. And yeah, the weather was okay. Bit hit and miss towards the end of the week, but had a nice, lovely, relaxing time. Work has been mega busy. I've been working tons of overtime in the evening, my days off over the weekend. So again, prime reading time taken up there as well. And I did an ultra marathon, as I've spoken about before. I did. It was an 8-hour endurance event. It started at 9 o'clock in the morning and finished at 5 p.m. It was one 5k loop. That loop was not flat. There's like 3 distinct kind of parts to each lap. And just to give you an idea in terms of like my ideal running temperatures, it's about 8 degrees, somewhere between like 6 to 10 degrees. So shorts, t-shirt, and probably a pair of gloves. That's my ideal temperature. Maybe a jacket if I need it, but perfect temperature for me. Average temperature for the ultramarathon, 28 degrees, maximum of 32. So it's safe to say I did not like it. That is not my idea of fun. So I was aiming for 10 laps to do 50 kilometers. I ended up doing 9 laps, doing 45 kilometers, because the final 3 laps, my legs were cramping in my thighs. My electrolytes that I was having, I don't think were working. I changed the type of electrolyte tablets I was having from the one I did earlier in the year. And I don't think I was getting enough fluids on board. I thought I was, but turns out I wasn't. And it's not like fueling up a car. If you're driving a car and you realise the fuel's getting low, you need to slow down and conserve your fuel to get to the next fuel station, then you top it up and your car's going at 70 miles an hour again. Your body doesn't work like that. Once you've got depleted and low on something and you're in a bad spot and your legs are cramping up, getting yourself out of that, as I found, is not easy. It ended up the final 3 laps I did. The third to last one, I could jog the flat and the uphill, but I couldn't jog downhill. The second to last lap, I couldn't jog downhill and I couldn't jog uphill, but I could jog the flats. It's just there weren't many flats. And on the final lap, I could not run at all. Whether it was down, up, flat, all I could do was shuffle along. So I did my last lap, my 9th lap, and there was 50 minutes left. And that lap had just took me 58 minutes. So I bowed out, that was me done. Ultramarathon, 45 kilometers in the worst conditions for me imaginable. So I was pretty pleased with that. So that's what I've done this month. It's been quite a busy month. It's been a successful month. It's been a month of going away, and it's also been a bit of a sad and worrying month as well. Which means, reading wise, get ready for this. This is like worst YouTube booktuber going. I read one book. I read one book. I've read half a book. I've read a quarter of a book, and I've started another book. So the book I read was The Wolf by Leo Carew. Now, ultimately, I'm going to do a spoiler-free review for this, but this was just okay. It had lots of potential. There was just quite a lot of things that didn't work for me. Too many things where it's just not quite working. That's what I'll say. I'm going to record the spoiler-free video after this anyway, so that will be up soon. But yeah, 3 stars for that. So with it being a 3-star read, it was okay. So I'm not going to devote time and plow through it and love it. And, you know, when you're reading a good book, you devote the time, don't you? Well, I was struggling with that. So I picked up just one, I always forget what this is called. Just one damn thing more than the other. Just one more damn thing after another by Jodie Taylor. Now, I'm halfway through this. It's going to be a 3-star read unless it blows something out of the water in the final half of the book. But the concept and the premise of this is very, very good. Imagine you can go back in time and you're a historian and you go back and you see all these things from history and you can like watch them take place and you can observe them, film them, take notes about it and witness it yourself. Wouldn't that be great? And if for whatever reason, let's say you decide you want to go and marry Henry VIII, for argument's sake, and be one of his wives. Well, history and time has a way of preventing that from happening. So that's an interesting concept. But then also, what about if someone else has this ability and has gone rogue? You've got this organisation where all you historians can go back in time, but an ex-member has gone rogue. Interesting, isn't it? The thing I'm not enjoying with it is something's happened and straight away I'm thinking, hang on a minute, earlier in the book you told me that time and history is a way of preventing these things from happening, but the thing I'm reading about now shouldn't be allowed to happen. So straight away that pulls me out of the book and I'm thinking, I smell a plot hole here. And the minute that happens in any book, even if I was loving the book, it'd pull me out straight away. So I'm having a bit of issue with that. And it's also, and this is no slight on the book, I don't think a middle-aged man who likes reading dark fantasy books is the target audience for this. It's catered more towards, I believe, female readers, which is absolutely fine. I'm not the key demographic, the target audience for this book. So ultimately, it's okay. It's probably going to be a 3-star read, but I've just got no great desire to go ploughing through it. But I've read half of it. So I've read one, I've read half. The other book I'm about a quarter of the way through is Redemption Arc, book 2 in the Revelation Space series by Alistair Reynolds. Now, when I spoke about this in my TBR for last month, I said I've read 2 Alistair Reynolds books before. I think I gave them both 4 stars. I enjoyed them by the time I read them, but they felt like work. And this is no different. I've just been grinding to a halt with it. Now, could very well be everything else I've spoken about in terms of what's gone on this month. It could very well be the other 2 books I've been reading have just not been doing it for me. And then here's a 3rd book that historically doesn't work for me straight away. And it's doing the same again. And I've been racking my brains as to what is it about it that doesn't work for me. And this is clearly just a me thing. It's a me thing, and I'm sure everybody else out there who loves Alistair Reynolds' books won't know what I'm talking about here. And that's absolutely fine, because I know it's a me thing. And I think there's 3 things. And bear in mind, I'm just doing this on the fly. So there might be less than 3, or there might be more than 3 here. So this is an issue with not just these books, but with any other book, naming conventions. If the names of people and places just don't sink in here for whatever reason, I struggle. In the first book, there was a character called Sylvester, and there's another one called Pascal, and I could not remember who was who. I couldn't get it in my mind as to who was who out of these two people, Sylvester and Pascal. And the two of the main characters in this one, and I can't even remember now. What the characters' names are, which again is not good. I should be able to tell you who the characters' names are. I should be able to tell you what the kind of story and the plot is of this book so far, because I'm a quarter of the way in. I can't. I have like an overall image and picture of what's going on, but what's the actual plot? Don't know. The other thing as well is I think it's the way the world building or the character development is done. So two characters can come into a room and they're going to need to be talking about something. But rather than just come in and start having this conversation, which is what we need the story to do to move on, one of them, the thought, not like a thought experiment, but you're in the mind and it's going like this around about space or some history or something else that's going on for about 10 pages. And the way it's described, this is another issue, the description of things, how Alistair Reynolds describes things doesn't work for me either. So I've got characters whose names don't work for me, who need to have a conversation, but they start having this mental tangent going off, describing things in a way that I don't like or doesn't work for me. And I lose the thread of what we're going on about here before we then come back and we have the conversation. End the chapter and move on again. And I can't help but think, can we just have the conversation and then move the story on? And I think it's just the author's way of doing something, the way of doing it, of character development or world building. It must work because I've read two other books and I like them and I have a distinct image in my head when I think of these books. So it must work. I just don't like reading it. I don't have a good time reading it. Even though the world and the environment fits and it works. Despite everything I've just said, it works. So with this, that stuff didn't work. Even though it was told in a way that I liked, the world and the environment didn't work and didn't fit together. The Revelation space stuff does. I just don't like the way it's done. So it's a bit of a quandary, really. So that is like just a chip away at that every now and again. 20 pages here, 20 pages there. It's probably going to take me a fair amount of time to read. So I think this is what's known as a reading slump. I think I've picked a few books up, one after the other, which just aren't working for me. So how do you get yourself out of a reading slump? You start a new book, don't you? But what book? Well, it had to be a physical book because I'm a reader. I like physical books. But what do you go for? Do you go for an author that you know, that you like? Guy Gavriel Kay. I've got 3 or 4 of his books on my shelf here. I could go for one of his. Or I could go for an author that I've been wanting to get into for a while. So I'm excited to get into them and start working my way into their back catalogue and hoping it works for me. And that's what I did. So I went for The Coward by Stephen Aryan. Fancy book, hopefully on the darker side. And it is a little bit. It's not huge. About 400 pages long. I think this is book 1 in a trilogy. And I'm liking it so far. I'm about 70 pages in. Let me read you the first line. Well, it's not the first line, it's the first sentence. Kel Cressier, slayer of the Ice Lich and saviour of the 5 kingdoms, tripped on a rake and fell into a pile of horseshit. So I read that and I thought, yes, this might very well be the book for me. Now, so far from what I'm picking up about this book is, it's a character who's now older. In the past, he did this heroic thing and there are tales and fables and songs made about him. And he's known all across the land, except that tale and fable bears no semblance to what actually happened and what took place. And he's now living a quiet life, doesn't want to be mithered, left alone. However, the king summons him, needs him to go off again because there's some bad stuff going on and they need him to go and sort it out. Now, 70 pages in, there's been no fighting, there's been no battles, no one's died. It's just been slowly, the story's developing, the characters are getting fleshed out, the plot is getting developed, the world is getting built, and it's really, really good. It's really, really well done. This is working for me. I feel like I can just enjoy sitting down and getting my teeth into this. I'm not getting frustrated like I am with Alistair Reynolds, like I was with that damn thing after another book, or like I was doing with The Wolf. So there we go. I don't know if I'm going to do a TBR for September because I don't know how much I'm going to read, because I've got 2 books to finish off and this. There you go, that's probably my TBR for the month. And I've got another book art thing to make. So there we go, that's what I've been up to. That's what I've been doing. I've been waffling on for about 15 minutes. I will let you go and enjoy the rest of your day. But please let me know in the comments below what you're reading. And with Alistair Reynolds, if you read his books and there's something I'm not quite grasping, or there's something you can do or say in the comments to help me get more enjoyment out of it, please let me know, because I'll be grateful. Because like I've said, the good books is a good author. It's a me thing. How do I get over this issue I have? Bearing in mind, I own about 10 more of his books. So thanks very much for watching. I'll see you again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye. Don't look like I'm sat in a corner. I mean, I am. Bloody sun. That bloody sun is going to come through the conservatory roof and blind me.